Patrick, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me back. This is more than a full-time job. It's a mission from God, frankly. The We're in the middle of a hot war. It's The most obvious manifestation of it is what's going on in the skies, the spraying and the radio frequencies and all that kind of stuff. But we have to remember that it's coming at us from all angles: pesticides, fluoride, GMOs, pharmaceuticals, the toxic culture, the divide and conquer. It's massive. But my wheelhouse is the spraying, and the word is getting out. I think the dam is about to break. We're very close to it. I mean, about 10 years ago when I started, well, whenever I started back, it's a bit fuzzy. I'd be lucky to get 1 in 10 people that I spoke to who would accept what I was saying. Now I'm really getting 10 in 10. Again, this is a spiritual battle. This is an eternal spiritual battle. It's been going on since, the beginning, and it will go on till the end. And the end is not on Thursday or whenever. On the spectrum of good and evil goes from it doesn't go to go it doesn't go from good to evil. It goes from love to not love, and just and everything has an opposite. There's an up, there's a down, there's a left, there's a right, there's a good, there's an evil, or love, not love. It's just the natural balance of the world. And whenever the armies of darkness, for want of a better term, are sort of coming into our side, it always balances itself out. It just does. They need us as much as we need them. And what we have to be is proactive instead of reactive. Do not. The thing is, I mean, what they're trying to do right now is steer us into this sort of global dictatorship, and scare us into, oh, be afraid of, fill in the blank. It went from killer bees to Ebola to Saddam to whatever, And when we're all, oh, scared and stuff, do not let yourself get herded in the direction they want you to go. People are not buying their BS anymore. Look at the media has lost all credibility. I mean, it's not just amongst the truth community, for want of a better term. There's just a tiny vestigial group of true believers who still follow all that BS. And there has been a massive global spiritual political awakening, and they even write about it in their own books. I mean, Zbigniew Brzezinski, the last book he wrote, he was talking about this grand global awakening. They know it very well. And
What does he mean by that? Hang on. What does he mean by that? Is that what you mean? What?
He says political potato, awareness, and awareness. Like my beginning of my awareness was like knowing about 9/11 and stuff. And then it went through stages too. I'm going through. I just know more, and these are this knowledge, these insights, these gifts, the serendipity, the eloquence, the opportunities. Everything is coming from spirit, because the closer you get to it, the more you get yourself. And I know it's going to be okay. I know that for a fact. And I
Really?
know absolutely. We're going to go through, it's like having a fever. We're going to have a horrible time. There's going to be a nasty time, and, there will be casualties, of course, but we're going to come out on the other side and it's going to be much better. That's not Pollyannish. I'm saying that as a fact.
Okay, so do me a favor. Take us in a little bit to your thought about the spiritual experience that you've been having that's enabling you to come with such confidence and optimism that we are going to come out okay on this. I'd love to hear about it, and I think people would too.
Well, it's a little hard to describe, but I mean, I've been I'm from a scientific background. I need to understand whatever I'm talking about. I need to understand it completely. It's and when I look around, where I am, each thing that I see, a cat tree, I know how those are made. I know how the carpet on it is manufactured. I know the way you make the polymers for each of the fibers. Anything I look at, I understand in principle all the parts to it, and so, which is necessary for the job that I do, because of course you'll get She'll saying, "Oh, well, you don't know such and such, so I can explain it." And if there's something that I haven't studied and I don't know, I'll just say, "I don't know." The other side are, they talk about the devil being the king of lies. The things of the other side are the opposite of what we have. They have hate, fear, violence, deception, and chaos, and they're good at it. Those are their specialties. They're great at lying. They're great at wars and killing people and destruction and whatever. On our side, we have creation, truth, inspiration, love, forgiveness, protection, and all those sort of things. And those cannot be defeated by the other side.
And I mean, just point blank. They just can't be.
No.
But they can be for a time. I mean, just think about.
Yeah, here's another example. So if you're having a great party, and you get some horrible person comes in, like sort of tips over chairs, breaks windows, yells at people, and he'll ruin the vibe. The vibration will go down.
Right.
And that's bringing darkness into light, and it goes, and it's sucky. It gets you off your game. So you have to remember, everything has an opposite. All you do is the same thing, but to them, you do the opposite. If you have a group of people and they're planning to, do something depraved or horrible, you just go in there with love, and it ruins their game. As spirits, you and I are spirits, and if I have something awful, nasty, whatever, and I say to you, take this horrible, nasty thing, you have a choice. Do you take it or do you not take it? Frankly, good idea not to take it, because it's nasty and stinky. You can only accept harm if you only receive harm if you accept it. You are only under someone's dominion if you say, "You are my master." And the way you get rid of darkness is turn on a freaking light. That's all there is to it. It's light and darkness. Darkness, so as in, blocking the sun and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it's really metaphorical what's going on, isn't it? This blocking of the sun.
Of course, yeah. They're against light and creation and joy and love and all that stuff. That's their nature, and of course it's their nature, and of course they're going to do it. I mean, I wouldn't expect otherwise. It's all we have to do is be more awesome ourselves.
So
listen to our guts and do the right thing.
If you feel comfortable, what does that light? How do you, in your spiritual practice, or what do you do to kind of connect with that light?
I have no spiritual practice. I just know it exists, and I use it, and I get power from it. I get inspiration from it. I get guided. Everyone has this. Everyone listening to this, can you remember any time in your life ever that you had a gut feeling that was wrong? Take as long as you like. Basically, the answer to that is no, and we are always connected to spirit, and as long as we do the right thing, and by paying attention or getting involved with, that whole thing about don't feed the trolls, do not feed into the darkness. When you're being attacked with violence, do not add to the violence. When there's hate, do not add to the hate. Forgiveness, you think, well, no, they've done this terrible thing. Forgiveness, if you don't forgive, you have this awful burden upon yourself and the person on the other side. Hate is like drinking poison and expecting the other guy to get sick.
Are you saying that you have forgiven the perpetrators of this?
No, and
tell us more about that.
I absolutely forgive the spirit, the individuals doing it. I completely and unconditionally condemn their actions. There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference.
Oh, of course
I'm
there is.
all about stopping them doing what they do. I mean,
Right.
I'm fine that they are spiritually dark, and of course they're inclined to do things like that. And my job is to stop them. And I'll just by going in with truth that screws their stuff up. You know, look at the Ken Calderas; they scurry away from me. I'm here to do a specific job, and this job was predestined for me. I didn't know. I mean, I've been doing this for years. It was only January last year that I realized, actually, you know, because basically I got an understanding that, well, first of all, as I was saying before, how I need to fully understand and have bulletproof ways of knowing myself that something is pure truth. It's absolutely indestructible from any attacks from any angles.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from thinking the spirit, God, whatever was a possibility to knowing it with the understanding that I understand other things. So it wasn't ambiguous in any way. It was quite clear. This is how it
Mm-hmm.
is. And the message that I got was, yeah, actually, this was our idea, what you're doing. We're really glad that you're doing it. And if, you know, by the way, you
Wow.
also have all our help anytime you ask for it.
Wow.
So that's why I never rehearse. Like all my speeches, I just start talking. I don't even know how I'm going to begin. I usually just go, "Hi, I'm Patrick," and just start talking. So it's I know I'm here to do this specific job, and you know it's it's not me who's the awesome person. You know, I'm getting information from way above my pay grade, and the fact that my family history even plays into it. I mean, I've said many times, my father's father was a Methodist minister. My maternal grandfather was a career intelligence officer for GCHQ. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of coincidental, don't you think, for me doing exactly what I'm
Oh,
doing with this epidemiological database? Everything in my life, when I look back, I realize every part of it was essential for me doing what I do right now. All of it. If I'd missed one, you know, not so great relationship or missed some off, you know, sort of D grade rerun movie, whatever. Every single experience in my life is essential for what I'm doing right now. And I feel that my entire life has been officer training. But I look at the lives of my father, mother, and their parents, and everything they did is also essential for what I do. So, yeah, I believe this is destiny, and I'm here to do this thing. So it's not me. It's just that I happens to be, this is the job that I said, sure, I'll do it.
right. Thank you. Thank you for what it is you're doing and the consistency with which you do it. And could you speak about maybe what you see as your task? Can you describe
Well,
what?
first of job one is stopping the spraying. And then job two is just going after everything else that's not cool. You
Yeah.
know, one at a time. And the easiest thing to do is, you know, where there's darkness, turn on a freaking light. You know, it's not that hard.
Okay, say that to translate that for us. How are you turning the light on?
Okay, what the other side are doing are bringing darkness into our lives, and there's look around.
In every way possible.
There's
Yeah.
plenty of it. What we
Uh-huh.
what we do is the reverse. That's it. You know, they hurt, we heal. They lie, we tell truth. You know, they destroy, we create. You know, it's really as simple as that. You just listen to your gut and do the right thing. And I don't know what the right thing for each individual person listening to this is, but when you listen to that small voice, the small quiet voice, you need to get down to stillness to listen and hear that.
Mm-hmm.
We are all guided. You will realize that this is the time where your training will kick in. We've all been trained. You might not
Mm-hmm.
even realize that you even. I mean, I didn't realize of my role until January last year. Well, I know I'm guided, and you know, it's like your parents, if you have good parents, at least they will guide you to do the right thing, and they will create the opportunities and show them to you, and you always have free. We all created with free will, including freaking Satan himself. He chose, screw this whole God thing. I'm going to go do my own thing. We all can. We are fractals of God. We can create. Yeah, I mean, you can. I can boil an egg. That's sort of creation. It's and I do what I do, but we all work kind of in the same way. And if you do it from, listening to your gut, doing the right thing, you will not go wrong. Things will work out. And it does sound like I'm doing this without a net, but I've been shown to my satisfaction that it's absolutely real. And I see my role now is I see we are going to pretty soon get to the point where there's mass awareness of this. And then people are saying, oh, what do we do next? Well, what we don't do is anything from the other side: hate, fear, violence, vengeance, and so on. I feel it my job after, waking people up to this is that we don't inadvertently feed the other side. And the other side is darkness. We need, you don't, what we want is, well, I say like puppies and ice cream. That's what we want. That's the goal. We want an awesome, happy life with lots of kids and laughing and playing frisbee and having barbecues and inviting your former enemies over to say, hey, I guess you're pretty good at fire and stuff. Why don't you be in charge of the barbecue? Mm. And practically how I'm doing that is I'm actually reaching, like, for example, the Weather Modification Association. Those are the guys who they seed the clouds. They get hired by like snow resorts and power companies and water districts to fill reservoirs and, reduce hail size, all that kind of stuff. They are not the ones that I know of who are up at 30,000 feet spraying all these really serious toxins. And I am actively protecting them from the wrath of the world because they're in the freaking phone book. They're not covert. They will be exposed when people find out, they're spraying the skies. These guys, let's run them out of town on a rail. No, I want to protect them. And I'm giving them the tools to protect themselves by saying, we disavow ourselves from, the covert program. And with the shills, I'm showing, this stuff's killing you and your loved ones. And yourselves that the whole nature of your side is lies. You do not know what's going on in your pay grades above you. And they are not telling you the full story, and they will not be giving you the full countermeasures, and you won't even be able to give those countermeasures to your loved ones because of national security or whatever, and you'll have to watch them die because there is this spectrum from love to not love. It's our opposite numbers are not devoid of love, just as we are not devoid of evil. So we increase the love on their side, bring them over like no man's land into our side, and they don't have to do it all the way straight away. We do not give up hope on increasing the love on the other side.
So do you realize that you're actually giving the teachings of Jesus right now?
Well, you sort of do come up into, you basically, like, it's the teachings of Bill and Ted. If you ever seen the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure with Keanu Reeves and stuff, they're high school kids from San Dimas, and they have to do this history report, and they go back in time and get like, Aristotle and Genghis Khan and stuff. But their philosophy was simple. Be awesome to one another and party on, dudes. Which is a version of the golden rule, but the party on, dudes, at the end is you celebrate joyfully awesomeness afterwards, and that bursts out the love so no one can ignore it. The celebration is really, really important. For example, in the three-dimensional world that we live in, there's conservation of energy, equal and opposite reaction, and so on. Energy can change forms, but it cannot be created or destroyed. In the spiritual realm, that does not apply. And the example I give time and time again, if you happen to be in a store and you see something on the shelf that you know your niece would absolutely freaking love, and you go, oh, she'll love that. You get that. And you got anticipation, oh, she's going to be so happy when she gets this. You bring it to her and she goes, yay, it's so cool. And then you think, oh, this is so awesome. And then you feel really happy that she's happy. And then she sees your happiness, and it just explodes. Way more love comes out than goes in. Right?
It is better to give than to receive, is what you're saying.
No. It amplifies itself. And it's all about intent. So, small amount of love creates a huge amount of love. So let's see what they do on the other side. A very small group of people can set off a war. A little bit of evil turns into a huge amount of evil. They do not have the monopoly on that, the mechanics of that. Yes, they'll use it and they'll do really horrible, depraved things. And set them off in a sort of a Fibonacci growth curve. We can do the same things ourselves. And we don't need an organization. We don't need titles and uniforms and offices and all that kind of stuff. We do it ourselves. They do things because they have to. We do things because we want to. And you cannot infiltrate an individual. We got freaking truth. And look in your Bible. Archangel Michael's kicked Satan's ass I don't know how many times, and he's going to do it again. And the other side know this, but it's their nature to be, dark and stuff.
Patrick, I got to tell you, you are so, speaking of which, Michaelic. I was a Waldorf teacher, Rudolf Steiner teacher. Mm-hmm. This is the time. Actually, it could even be the day of Michaelmas. Maybe that's September 26th. It's around about this time. Yeah. Right. But what you are expressing is this Michaelic attitude and approach. No, it is. It's
is, but the thing is, that is because the closer you get to, the more you get rid of all the darkness of hate, fear, violence, chaos, deception, and all the crappy stuff. Mm-hmm. The closer you get to getting inspiration from all the good dudes, including frickin' Michael.
In which, we are working in tandem with the spiritual worlds, and that we have, he was very in touch with.
We're completely in the spiritual world, but just seeing it through terms of three-dimensional reality. I don't attach to any particular dogma. I just know, let's call him God. Its higher divine, spiritual, whatever the thing is real, and we are all spirits. I mean, like my cat's a spirit, but Shasta's a spirit. The trees, the Native Americans, the way they see the world, well, we're all spirits. The air, the wind, fire, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. We're all in this together. And because all of those spirits are kind of pissed about what's going on, I'm getting help from all of those guys too. But, when you think, these guys have never had AI before, and they've never had drones before, and high-speed computing and whatever, this is just the same thing people were saying back when, they never had the wheel before, they never had castles before, they never figured out getting on horseback or armor before. It's just the current freaking level of technological advancement. And if the other side, if evil was ever capable of complete domination. Do you think they might have done that sometime over the last several millennia? They can't. It's not possible. This is just another one of this is just the latest battle. And anytime, they become more douchey, people like me show up. I can tell you this is truth because I know it for a fact. And, when people say, oh, you're brave, well, I mean, if you're in a tank, and someone's like throwing like marshmallows at you, you don't feel terribly brave. I know I'm protected. So I have a pretty good feel for, I have no sense of foreboding. Of course, we're going in for a rough time. Of course, there will be people hurt. I know. I'll be okay, and it's going to be awesome afterwards. When you lose hope, losing hope is accepting the other side as that they have won. Yes, you are my master. That's what they want. That's why there's all this fear. And just say, not for me, thanks. Hate, fear, violence, all that stuff, you have to get rid of it. When you feel any sense of it, just banish it and say, nope, I choose puppies and ice cream. You have to look at it in terms of spiritual plumbing, right? The way... If a weapon is waged against you, it comes the intent of the person who is sending it to you may be evil, but the thing itself isn't. It's just a dumb machine or whatever the thing it is. We then transmute it to something awesome and turn it around, and it messes them up. Everything that they do against us hurts them. For example, because of the hurricane, one thing, 1 million Spanish speakers now know about this covert program. That wasn't going to happen until they did that. But first of all, yes, we're in a hot war, and we have these from time to time. I mean, look at the 20th century. There was plenty of them. It goes all the way back to, it's an eternal thing. And because it's the latest thing, it's the most horrible thing ever, and therefore we now must just, it's the end of everything. No, it isn't. It was not the end of everything every other time they did it either. So don't, if you choose to give up hope, I'm sorry. I mean, it's just that people can choose whether to see the truth or not. It's not up to me. The best I can do is just lay the facts out there. There is an agenda which is as old as time, is complete control, complete domination. Plato is writing about it back in the Republic, philosopher kings, there's too many ancient Greeks, depopulation. These guys are ghouls, they do depraved things, which I wouldn't even bother talking about, but we all know what they're up to. And yes, this is just because they're doing all of these things at once to advance their agenda in a burst, like they did after 9/11. It wasn't just about stealing Iraqi oil. It wasn't just about demolishing the Constitution. It was all of these things together. And yes, but again, if it wasn't for 9/11, I wouldn't have been activated. There is a natural balance. It just always happens. And if you choose to give up hope, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. But there are people. The awakening that I'm seeing, it's tremendous, and we wouldn't have this awesome, beautiful awakening if they weren't being really super scummy and douchey, depending whether scumbags or douchebags. And it's not the end. It never is the end. This is infinite, and it's our job. Well, first of all, pick a side. Do you want to be with that side or this side? That's number one.
Of course and then, you're not talking to me, right?
No, I'm talking about people in general.
Okay.
I mean, really, and that's the other great thing. They're spying on us with our phones and stuff, which is great because they pay people to listen to me. And I'm telling them, hello, everybody there in wherever fort, whatever the thing is, or if you're on if you're working as a contractor, whatever. It's okay. Come on over. I'm like I said, you do the barbecue. You're probably better at that than I am. It's okay. It'll go through a fever and then we'll come out the other side. And of course, in a fever, there's casualties. There always are. I mean, we're not none of us live forever. So it's gonna, and there's good stuff and bad stuff, but without the bad stuff, we could not progress as good people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been through some hard times, and these are the things that I have needed to be able to do what I do right now. So it's the tools waged against us are the things we use to make the world a better place. We transmute them, change the intention of those things, and because there's that saying, to the best way to get rid of a tyrant is to get him to act like one. It's what they are doing is ultimately hurting themselves. And I really want to talk to the scumbags to say, this actually, I know this is your nature, but this is ultimately self-destructive. Mm-hmm. Because you're burning all your bridges, you're burning all your credibility, and you feel the ultimate power is to have the power of life and death over someone. But I would say there's even greater power than that. To be loved is even more. I know it's not in your nature. Of course it isn't, because you're into all these really depraved things. But think about it, and because because hate, fear, and violence and all that sort of stuff comes from the other side, they live in that. They are afraid. And that's why no amount of money is enough, because they're terrified. We need to, and actually that's the other thing, which is also very important. The awakening process is when you find out. I mean, for different people, it's different things. Back in the day, it was the Kennedy assassination, or before then, whatever. When people realize, oh, hang on, they see the big picture, and this is terrible. Your entire worldview is pulled out from underneath you. You realize everything you were told is a lie. You're living in this fictional reality, and it's traumatic. It's worse than the death of a spouse. And then you go through the grieving process. It is denial, bargaining, anger, depression, and eventually through to acceptance. So whenever you change, when you change a job, change a house, change whatever, you go through some form of that. What we need to do, our job, everybody's job really, is to make it easier for the scumbags to stop doing scummy things, which means changing their worldview, changing what they live in. And it's going to be uncomfortable, even though what they're coming towards is better. It's a change. So we have to midwife them through that process, because unless we get the other side to stop doing what they're doing, it'll keep going on forever.
You just basically said that they're going along. Can you just explain what you just said? You basically said they're going in a certain direction, right, and you need to.
Right now, the scumbags are doing scummy things, because that's what they do. They're scummy, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. What we want is for them to not do scummy things, which will be a change to their worldview and how they see everything. And that change will involve grieving, and we need to make their grieving process as painless as possible.
Now, what are you talking about exactly?
Forgiveness, for one. Don't say, oh yeah, when we get him, we're going to string him up and all that kind of stuff. No, it's okay for them to stop. It's all right. You lied to us in the past, but now you're telling the truth now. Awesome. The whole prodigal son thing. Of course you're like, yay, awesome. The Rothschilds are actually being nice for once. That sort of thing would be freaking awesome. We should celebrate that.
No,
it's a geopolitical truism. Never get involved in a land war in Asia. You're going to get your ass handed to you. Hitler tried it, Napoleon tried it. Yeah,
this is a metaphor. Okay, yeah. What does it mean? What does it mean?
They're biting off more. They're overextending their supply lines. They will fail. They cannot do this much. When they stay in their darkness, they can be happily in their darkness, and they're all dark and it's fine. But when they're coming out amongst us, it's going to turn their operatives. They're going to have defections, and then once they become more aware of how we work, their control system begins to break down. I'm looking at this strategically, diplomatically, and historically, and this is why you know, that's why they've never been able to get complete control. They never have, and they never will, and nor will
Do
we.
do you know any, I mean, is there some history that you could cite, like from the Second World War or something, of a comparable situation where what you're saying actually is the way that it actually played out? Do you happen to know?
Well, I'm just looking at like Napoleon and Hitler trying to take on Russia, and they couldn't because it was just too big.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, of course, yes. There are always there have always been casualties. Like there are races that have been wiped out. I'm not being completely Pollyannish, and because if I was and saying, oh, it's all going to be fine, you just sit back and just put on Netflix and think, oh, it's going to be fine. No, you have to listen to your gut and do the right thing. And the more they do their scummy stuff, it's going to activate people like me to go up and be the guy who stands in front of a line of tanks in Tiananmen Square. The more they do, the more opposition they will have. And I want to make sure that the opposition, we are armed with the very best, the top of the line, high tech, wonderful awesomeness that we have, which is pure love. And when you're alluding to the absolute depravity of the other side, everything has an opposite. The closer you get to God and you see how freaking amazingly awesome and perfect God is, of course the opposite's going to be the opposite. And
Wow.
you do not hate a scorpion because he's got a stinger. The darkness is darkness, and we need darkness. So shadow's kind of nice at times in
Patrick,
a hot day.
you're so what do you think the end game is here with the hurricanes? What do you think? Do you have any theory about that?
Chaos. Again, as Bertrand Russell said, you can achieve more in 5 years of war than 50 years of peace. This just remember back to 9/11. There was 9/11, and there was anthrax, and there was Afghanistan. There's financial collapse. And they got a lot of stuff done then. I mean, they're going to try and pull off a lot of stuff now. You have the weather stuff. You have, maybe the whole immigrant thing. You got the social justice warriors, the Charlottesville thing. Oh, suddenly the clans everywhere. Be afraid, be very afraid, and get people off balance. So, so then they can come with a solution. Like for example, if you think of the economic devastation of Houston, that could, that's the capital of the energy industry in the United States. Energy is, one of our big exports, and they can use that as an excuse to like pull the plug on the economy. Who knows? They do want to go over to an energy-based economy, which is technocracy. I have back in the 30s, they talked about having energy credits. Now it's carbon credits, and then that would be the end of money and total enslavement, which I'm kind of against. They were trying to use the whole global warming thing, and that wasn't working because of each winter's worse than the last.
Let's talk about that though, because it seems to me that they're making these hurricanes.
Of course,
in order to sell us global warming. They're confirming what Al Gore said in The Inconvenient Truth.
Okay, if you go to stopsprayingus.com, there's an article there called "Selling Chemtrails." That explains technocracy. They want to bring us into this Agenda 21-y kind of Agenda 2030 now they call it, which will be total control, monitoring of everything that we do. And go over, I mean, when you hear talks of having a universal basic income, it all comes down to the same thing, total control. And they were trying to use global warming for many years. They don't use that word anymore because the head of the IPCC and the UK Met Office admitted back in 2013 that global warming stopped 17 years previously. That's 20 years ago. So their backup is extreme weather. So, hey, bingo, we got extreme weather. That's one of the main things that they're doing this weather thing for, because they do want to advance that agenda. How far they'll get towards it is questionable, because
I contend that in fact they are using this as their method to bring us to the New World Order. I mean, they're basically saying, yeah, it is, whether you say global warming actually stopped or I don't think they've stopped selling us the idea that it's actually so. In fact, they're saying that the oceans are, very hot, and that, the Arctic is melting, and they're still saying all this stuff. And basically, once they convince everybody through weaponized hurricanes that in fact this is happening, they will be, the people will be begging for their leadership as far as all the carbon credits and, setting us up for the NWO. I mean, that's what I think anyway.
Of course. I mean, when I say they're dialing back on it, of course, every month, oh, this is the hottest month since ever. This is, the ice is at the lowest since ever. And they know, because they pay attention to what we're saying online and whatnot. They know that's not landing. So they did switch the script over to extreme weather. And actually, the Club of Rome wrote about this in 1991. In searching for a common enemy to unite us, it was we came up with the idea that global warming, droughts, famine, and so on would fit the bill. So this is just another play on that. This is to get their agenda moved forward, and we need to be aware of their agenda and not go along with it, because problem reaction solution only works if we are reactive and not proactive.
How do you find people in the Bay Area about the subject of chemtrails? Are people onto it, or are they in denial? What's going on?
Everyone I speak to, when they finish speaking to me, know that it's going on. But the thing is, I'm an outlier, because I'm getting like divine, the truth that comes out of me is pretty freaking, charismatic. So, your mileage may vary. And I don't try to tell people. I tell people. There's a difference. It's like Yoda says, like, do not try. If you're trying to do something, you're putting in your head, the possibility of failure. And I'm not about failure. I get the job done. You have to listen. You have to listen to their concerns, and you don't just, oh, you said something that I heard was wrong, so I'll correct. No, you don't do it that way. During the conversation itself, they will understand that it is actually going on, and that it is killing a bunch of people. And they may think at that time, well, that's a good thing. There's too many people on the planet. My job is done. I don't have to completely change their worldview in that one conversation, but they will go knowing that this is happening. I remember, like, some years ago, there's this guy I used to play pool with, and he is he's a little I really like him. He's a asterisk hole. And there's some people, and he's one of my favorite of those, because he's hilarious. He's really good at, like, stirring, like, sort of like playing and stuff. And he'll joke about, oh yeah, you're still talking about chemtrails and stuff. And I ran into him, some months later, and he was like, oh, you're expletive deleted. You ruined my sky, because like actually afterwards he actually looked at it and realized, oh my God, he's real. It's real. So you just do as much as you can do. You do the right thing, and don't expect instant results, because the other side don't expect instant results. They put plans in that are multi-generational. We're trained to, at the end of like 40 minutes or 90 minutes, the cavalry just comes. There's a car chase, and the one survives and wins the day. It doesn't work that way. But as long as you're doing the right thing, you're just adding to goodness, because if just by putting goodness in things, it's always going to be better by definition. And all of us have goodness in us, and the more we give, the more we have to give. And that's how you win it. And you just keep doing the right thing. You listen to your gut, do the right thing. I keep saying that, but it's so important. You have to. Even to people that you can't. I mean, when people are. And again, the thing about like being proactive, not reactive, when I hear someone who, is saying, "Oh, Trump is terrible because there's a recording of him saying the P word." I mean, I have to bite my tongue and not say, "Oh, by the way, do you know about John Podesta?" Because that is me reacting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let them know that, frankly, actually, don't you notice that things tend to happen at an international level, kind of coordinated, that maybe presidents don't necessarily have as much power as they have? And look at Afghanistan. That started under Bush, continued under Obama, and it's continuing under Trump. Do you really think he's the top guy? You listen, and you... It's not about winning an argument. You want to help them.
Wow.
So, but sometimes it's a struggle because I go, "Oh, you really believe that?" But it's okay. And that's the thing, because my beliefs are complete. Well, my knowledge is completely different to my knowledge 4 years ago. And
in what way?
Oh, everything, every way. I mean, the whole spirit thing, for example, is real. Holy crap!
So how did you can you tell us about that transition from where you were 4 years ago to where you are now, and what changed it for you?
It was basically, I got a message. It's hard to really explain it, but it was put in a way that was unambiguous. And since then, the divine intervention has come in forms that are totally unambiguous to me. I have so many freaking anecdotes. It's beyond question.
If you feel comfortable, just to share one that's on your mind, or
okay. Here's one. In the weekend that I had my epiphany, the night after my epiphany, I had a dream. This is in January 2016. I had a dream that I was going to be. I generally don't remember dreams. You sort of vaguely remember, I think I was looking for a bathroom if you needed to pee, those sort of things. Yeah. This was a crystal clear dream. I arrived up somewhere that looked a lot like Vancouver. And I then went to this place where it looked like a giant swimming pool, enormous, sort of 20 square blocks size, vast thing with sort of an uneven edge, but it was beautiful. And there were people around, and I looked over to my right, and I saw a guy sitting down, and his eyes were pointed at me, but he wouldn't even acknowledge that he was looking at me. And then I realized, okay, first of all, these things all happen simultaneously, that I realized not only is he of the other side are here, and the entire thing could be a setup, and I had to take appropriate action. So I got a good look at this guy in a dream. He was mid-30s, blonde hair, 5'7", about 180 pounds, hair short at the top, sort of a little longer on top, blue eyes, sort of German, Polish, Northern European features, blue eyes, clean-shaven, dress shirt, slacks, dress shoes. And I know I could do an identikit of him. I knew exactly what he looked like. So a couple of months later, Matt calls me and says, "Oh, hey, we're doing this chemtrail summit in Vancouver. Do you want to speak?" And I went, "What?" I was like, "Holy crap!" By the way, the water was the same shape as the water between West and North Vancouver. I realized later. So when I was speaking last, and in the morning I got intelligence that there are two agents there from Kaku, and I have their freaking Facebook profiles. I have their whole freaking thing. I know who they are, and I hung out with them. There was Jordan Silverstein and Dylan Peach. Dylan Peach, 5'7", early 30s, blonde hair, blue eyes, German face, dress shirt, slacks, exactly the same guy.
Oh,
the only difference was Dylan Peach was about 2 years younger. He had slightly more puppy fat, and he was sitting on the left instead of the right, and had a checked shirt.
Oh.
And I spoke to multiple people before this thing even happened, because I was thinking, should I even go to this thing, because I had this premonition? But actually, I got freaking the dude in the dream showed up.
Okay, so wait. Tell us, what is Kaku and
Oh,
who is this guy?
that's a shield group called Chemtrails Are Killing Us, and
Okay.
they're part of the disinformation campaign because they're.
Okay, so this guy was from that. So what happened in your conversation with this guy?
I was just hanging out with him because I was actually trying to, I was actually showing, because I use he was trying to record things with a GoPro, and I was showing him how I got really good audio with this particular lens and microphone setup I have on my phone. It's been really nice to the guy. I mean, I didn't let him know that I knew who he was.
But didn't he must have known who you were, obviously.
Of course, yeah, he was then. No, he was there to,
So in a sense, were you kind of doing what you're saying, that you were in a way kind of being loving
Of course
to
I
him?
was. Of course I was. And actually,
And so how did he respond?
and
How did
actually,
he
that's what I
respond?
said in the speech, and you can see the speech. And in fact, if you look me up, it's on YouTube. The Vancouver speech. I actually talk about him, and I'm saying I actually want to help him because he's just doing my job. He just has the wrong boss. And, I want to protect him. I want to protect his loved ones. We could have a beer together. Actually, not now, as I don't drink. But, it's all with love. And actually, in fact, I was concerned about even mentioning his name because I didn't want him to feel threatened because that would be causing him harm. But fortunately, right before I got on to speak, he left the building. And at the very same time, there's this lovely woman came up to me and said, "Oh, I have your gift for you." So, and she held out this bag, and in it, I put my hand in, and there were all these cards. I picked out a card, and I'll read the back of it. On one side, it says, "We are all onesie." It says, I keep it in my wallet, and it reads on the back, handwritten, "Awesome magnetic attraction and magical connections. No one will be hurt." As he was leaving, so I could then fully speak that without causing him any harm. So I get physical proof of divine intervention. So I know this stuff's real. It's not like, oh, I get a feeling, because my job is to have absolute truth and protect it and have it to be indestructible. There's no way you can attack it from any angle. And I got so many of those. There's I'm knee deep in them. It's beyond any shadow of a doubt.
And so
know
4
God
years ago,
exists.
you had no
2 years ago, before January 2016, I knew for certain it was real. And of course, looking back, and you can see, influence of divine intervention, but I just didn't know I didn't recognize it for what it was.
Well, you probably don't want to share with us what happened, but of course, it does sound very interesting.
It was in. It sounds like, oh, you're hearing voices or something, but I just knew. It was just, I felt the presence and I got the message. Well, their plans never changed, and this is just a hot word to get closer to it faster. But just as they say you can achieve so much. You can achieve more in 5 years of war than 50 years of peace. This is the time when things are in flux. This is when we come in and steer people the other way. And that'll really just completely, because they're exposed. So they like hiding in the shadows. They have to expose themselves here. And this is where we come in, expose them, and we.
Wow.
And that's it. And people can make this choice. Do you want to be on the John Podesta side or the the Gandhi side? Pick one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I'm not that fond of pizza.
You're not that fond of pizza?
Well, pizza in the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, no. No, but seriously, this is a spiritual battle. You're showing us that you can fight this battle with love. Mm-hmm. And I just think that it's extraordinary. And I hope everybody just listens to this and takes it into their hearts. Patrick Roddy, may the divine bless you on your journey as it has been and continue to do, and to help us win this great battle with love. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hey. Oh, and go to stopsprayingus.com.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, and you can donate there if you want to help. You want to see me do more of my stuff.
Oh yes, everybody, please let's donate to Patrick and go to www. Say it again.
Stopsprayingus.com.
Okay, very good. I'm trying to turn my phone off. Okay. Well, goodbye, Patrick. Goodbye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yay.